Are you ready to face Donald Trump?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Best part of debate prep for you? What's your favorite?
Being at the spice store, I finally got out of the debate prep to look at these spices. Best part of debate prep so far.
Do you ever get the feeling when you watch the news, if ever, that there isn't anyone worth listening to? Well, I feel the same way, except there is one person. His name is Scott Jennings, and he is a Republican with common sense, not like Dick Cheney. And so what he's been doing is destroying Kamala Harris and the Democrats, just surgically at this point. And in this video, he's going to do it again. And where we are going to start is his thoughts about the debate. Watch.
Well, he has to come to this debate prepared to prosecute the case that electing Kamala Harris is just having more of the same. I mean, that's his whole campaign here. If you're unhappy with Biden and you don't think what they've done on the economy is working for you, you can't leave the same people in charge. He has to be able to know the record, know what vote she has cast, know the things she has said, everything she has done on the Biden administration. He just has to know it cold. Now, in 2020, when he debated Biden, the first time around, not good. The second time around, he actually was very well prepared, and he was able to sort of be very specific in back and forth with Biden. So I know he can do it, but that's it. People have to turn off the TV thinking, yeah, I really do want change, and Trump is the candidate of change, not Harris.
First of all, she walks in there representing maybe the broadest coalition of Americans in living memory. Everybody from AOC to now Dick Cheney is standing behind her.
And I do want to talk about that in a second, yes.
Yeah, but imagine walking in there, the leading lights of Donald Trump's party are with her. And I think she's got to be able to communicate, you can go into the crazy bin with this guy. I am presidential, I am ready, I am calm, I cannot be thrown off by this guy, and we are going to move forward. And I think the reality is people want to hang a bunch of stuff on her as if she were president of the United States. The vice president of the United States' only job is to watch to see if the president's alive this morning. Anything else she did beyond that is just kind of extra. And so she's now in a position where she can say that she is where she's going to be the commander in chief, and she will move in a different direction than Joe Biden.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to add here because it's the most obvious thing that needs to happen on September 10th. And it's the only thing Trump needs to do is just point out her record, make the comparisons to his administration, to hers, and just leave it at that. You know, if he does that, then he is good to go. Now, one of the things that we hope he does point out is how many times she casted the tie-breaking vote. And what Scott ends up saying, I didn't even know this was a record. Watch.
Well, I mean, normally that's the case. I mean, she's had a very consequential vice presidency. She's cast, I think, the most ever tie-breaking votes in the Senate of any vice president, including on Joe Biden's specific economic program, which drove the country into a massive inflationary spiral, which everyone is mad about. And on top of that, she, in her own words, last person in the room with Joe Biden when they made the disastrous decision on Afghanistan. So I think in some cases, you're right, Van, the vice president is relatively inconsequential. She has been a consequential vice president. I think the consequences have been bad. Trump has to be able to make that case at the debate.
Now, let's look at Van Jones's face, right? Van Jones is dying inside because Joe Biden already let him down. He doesn't want Kamala Harris to let him down. This is the same man who cries on TV when Joe Biden won and when Joe Biden was knocked out of the race on that debate stage. So that's who he is. And of course, he can't stand Scott Jennings. I mean, I'm sure they're cool off camera, but you know, what can Van Jones really say? He can't. There's nothing to say. There's no record for her to run on. They just have to make up things, right? They have to go around in circles, right? They have to gaslight. Okay, they have to sidestep because there's zero substance. And the substance that does exist, if there is any, is her record in the Senate and her record as vice president, which is not good. Now, one of the things that CNN has been trying to do repeatedly is push this whole endorsement thing from Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney to say that Donald Trump is in trouble. Let's hear what Scott has to say about that.
Well, I think most Republicans would argue that the dangers of Donald Trump are far outstripped by the dangers of a Kamala Harris presidency when you consider just how far to the left she may want to take the country. I mean, I know she's changing all of her positions now, but no Republicans really believe that she's a moderate. They believe, what her initial instincts were when she got into politics. I mean, she's a California Democrat whose instincts were to side with Bernie Sanders on virtually every issue of the day and then run for president on that platform. And so that's what Republicans believe she is. And they think there are real consequences about the future of the country under a president who would go so far left, particularly if Democrats got or retained control of the United States Senate and eliminated the filibuster. This country, our government, could take a sharp left turn in a hurry. And so Vice President Cheney, who I revere, I worked to elect this man vice president twice. I worked in the White House under Vice President Cheney. I revere him. I respect him. I think his statement was a little hyperbolic, and I also think most Republicans are going to disagree with him on the conclusion about what's more dangerous for the future, generally a center-right government or a very left-wing government.
I just see it very differently. If you are an undecided voter and you're trying to figure out what to do, this is a pretty massive signal. If Kamala Harris does stuff that you don't like, maybe your tax policy is too aggressive, you can vote her out in 4 years and fix it. If you put somebody in office who does not respect the rule of law, the Constitution, somebody who led an insurrection, somebody you may not be able to vote out in 4 years, that you can't fix that very easily. And so neither one of these candidates are perfect. But if you're in the middle trying to figure out, well, who's going to have the most survivable set of errors, Donald Trump's already proven that he will use violence, lies, and all kinds of stuff in a way that even a Dick Cheney, who is as far right, who makes Scott Jennings look like a Boy Scout, even Dick Cheney says that Kamala is a safer bet for America.
Now, that is a very great point, and you guys need to bury this into your mind, because this is not American politics from 20 years ago. Donald Trump gets into office, he's going to be very center. That's what his policies are right now. As it stands today, he's a moderate candidate. He's not extreme. He's not super progressive, and he's not super conservative. He's literally in the middle, technically. And so if he doesn't get elected, then what's happening is we're electing someone who is super far left, extreme, progressive. And the record and the history and the official statements show that. Not statements from her campaign staff on the side. No, statements on record of her being recorded saying these things, right? So he's dead on about that. And I don't really believe anybody cares about Dick Cheney or his endorsement, not people who live in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin who are trying to figure out how they're going to make enough money to pay the bills. They could care less about that. And I believe Scott verifies exactly what I just said. Watch.
There's no question that the parties have changed. I mean, since the George W. Bush days, you have had cohorts of Republicans that have migrated out, and some of them have migrated over the Democratic Party. It's also true that the Democratic Party has changed. You've had a lot of working class voters, union members, and others who've migrated over to the Republican Party. So you have had some, cross-pollination, some shifting coalitions. And what I would simply say is that Democrats have called Dick Cheney a war criminal for 20 years. And now all of a sudden, they're clapping like seals to get his endorsement. This does not strike me as people who are interested in listening to your conservative viewpoints. They are hungry for power. They will take Dick Cheney's endorsement today. But believe you me, in their hearts, they wouldn't want to go out to dinner with Dick Cheney, let alone have him have any influence over the next government. And I doubt that he would.
Yeah, I mean, he sums it up very nicely. Now, as he's destroying the Democrats and, of course, Kamala Harris. Okay, let me wrap up this video and give you guys my final points, okay? Listen, undecided voters, right? Just look at the results. That's all you need to focus on, results. One thing that my military career did teach me in the 13 years that I served is results tell the story. So if we look at the results of Donald Trump and what he did in the 4 years, even count January 6th. Let's say I agree with these crazy Democrats that he's responsible for January 6th. Let's just say that for a second. Take all that into consideration and compare it to what's happened over the last 3.5 years. What is worse? What is worse for you inside your home when you wake up in the morning and before you go to bed? What keeps you up at night? What happened on January 6th or that electricity bill? Or how much groceries are going to be, or the medical insurance for your children, or the life insurance, or will you get another job? Do you have to get another job, right? Which matters more, the cost of your mortgage or how much it's going to take to rent, or what Trump did on January 6th? I'm saying if we follow the logic, okay, of what the Democrats and the propaganda media want us to buy into, it still doesn't add up. Because at the end of the day, worst case scenario, if he did try to do that, there's 3 branches of government, people. Let's not lose our common sense here. Even if someone attempted to do that in this country, they couldn't get away with it anyway. They would never be successful. They wouldn't even get close. And I do not believe that's what he did. So just look at the results at the end of the day. It's not about if you like a person or not. It's not about if they're going to be the best role model. It's about who's going to get into the White House and get things done for the American people for a change. Okay? Second point, government control. Big deal on this. A lot of people don't understand the implications on whether or not Trump or Kamala Harris, if they get into the White House, what will actually happen. If Trump gets into the White House, there's a good chance that one side of Congress will be Republican. So there's a good chance that we will continue to implement pieces of legislation or policies that will prevent this country from going off of a cliff. And what I mean by that is what's happening at the border, what's happening in our classrooms with children, what's happening in women's sports, what's happening with student loans, what's happening overseas with the wars. We know that if Trump gets into office, those things will change for the better. Now, compare that to Kamala Harris. If she gets into the White House and one side of the government will be Democrat, what's going to happen? We know they're going to open the border. We know they're going to continue to drag out those wars overseas because it's about money for them. We know they're going to continue to push these progressive ideas about men can serve in women's sports. Joe Biden had already tried to do it, and Joe Biden is not as progressive as Kamala Harris or Tim Walz. And we know economically, they've shown us already how damaging they are when they make decisions. So just compare the results. That's all you have to do. And that is what the implications would be. And my final point is this. Donald Trump today was out in his rally in Wisconsin doing what he's supposed to do, going out there and talking to voters. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, was too busy staging an event. And when they asked her if she was prepared for this debate coming up, this is what she said.
President,
Are you ready to face Donald Trump?
Yes, I am. Yes.
best part of debate prep for you? What's your favorite?
Being at the spice store, I finally got all of the debate prep to look at these spices. Best part of debate prep so far.
I really do hope she shows up to the debate like she showed up to the interview. Why? Not because I really in my heart want to see her fail. I just want people to see her for who she really is as a politician. She's not good for this country. She just isn't. Her ideas and her values are not good for this country. And history has shown us that. Okay? That's how I feel about it. That's my opinion. What's yours? What do you guys think about Scott Jennings and the work he's been doing on CNN? He's driving these people insane, by the way. He's the only person on TV today who has any common sense, especially on CNN. And obviously Van Jones. I mean, you just can't hate that guy enough, right? He is just super delusional. What do you guys think about all this and more? Leave your answers in the comment section below. Hey, if you want to support the channel, go to the link in the description, grab yourself a t-shirt, or if you want to support my beautiful wife, buy her a coffee. Stay grateful, stay focused, and stay true. Peace.